So in this SolidWorks tutorial we're going to have a go at modelling this box. It's a fairly simple part. It's just a box shape with some holes on little protrusions around the side, so you can see it's got 4 of them. And the thing that we're going to illustrate during this tutorial is the different methods that you can create these little external bosses. So for 2 of them we're going to stay just inside the sketch, so that's what it's telling you to do here. Model 2 boss outline shape using sketch only, and then obviously using an extrude command or an extrude feature to create them in 3D. And then for the other 2 we're going to model the outline with the trimmed circle and then add some fillets in as features. And the question here is which is easiest or which is quickest possibly. So the first thing that we're going to do is just create a simple box shape. So I'm just going to sketch on the top plane. I'm going to use the center point rectangle. And in this case, do we have a height? I don't think there's actually a height for the box listed on the tutorial, but it does say down at the bottom of the sheet any dimensions that you can't see listed, just make them up so that your model appears roughly the same. So I'm going to set the height to 100 because that seems about the right scale, and the length on the PDF is actually listed. So I've got a rough box shape there, so I'm just going to extrude that using the extrude feature. I have an overall height of 30 listed, so we can accept that. And then I'm going to put some fillet features on the outside edges, the vertical edges. And these fillets on the drawing are 20mm. So I'll just change that to 20mm, and then I'll just select the other edges. Notice that you can pick the edges through the part itself, so that's quite useful. It saves you having to rotate the part too many times to actually view the edge that you want. So that's the 20mm fillets put on. This box has a wall thickness of 10mm, so I can conveniently use the shell command and set the wall thickness. The default wall thickness is 10mm, so that's quite useful. And then I just have to click on any of the faces that I want to get rid of. So in our case it's this top face, and then if I want a preview of that I can switch preview on. It seems about right, but it's as easy really just to click the green tick and see what the effect of that is. So that's the basic box shape. So now let's come to creating those little protrusions, those little bosses. So I'm going to sketch on this top face, and what I'm going to do is let's have a little think. Let's use the 3-point arc tool. So if you haven't got the 3-point arc tool visible there, you can click on the drop down and make it visible. And I'm just going to manually sketch some arcs that are kind of approximately the shapes that I require. So something like this. And then I'm going to use some relations to actually lock those into place. So 3 arcs approximately like that. Then I want to create some solid geometry when I eventually use this sketch to create a feature. So I'm going to have to create a closed boundary by putting a straight line between the 2 lower edges there, and then I'm going to go in and I'm going to put some tangent relations between the ends of these arcs. So I'm going to click on this arc first and then hold down Control and click on this one, make those 2 tangent to each other, and then do the same thing with this arc and this one. So make those 2 tangent to each other. So they run into each other nice and smoothly. That's essentially the non-technical way of describing what tangency is. And then I also want to make this arc tangent to this box edge. So same thing there. and then I want to make this arc. Now I've accidentally selected the exact midpoint of that arc, so I'm just going to click in some empty space to deselect that. That isn't what I want. I just want to click on the arc itself, not its midpoint. So click on the arc, hold down Control, click on the edge of the box, tangent. So those are all the relations that I want there. What I'm also going to do is, looking at the drawing, so if I bring the drawing back slightly, it appears as if what's implied here is the center point of these holes is coincident with that horizontal edge of the box. So I'm going to put that in to my sketch as a relation. So I can just click and drag the center point of this middle arc here and let it lock itself onto the edge of the box like that, and it should put that coincident relation between the center point and the edge of the box. So that's okay. So I'll put some smart dimensions on these bosses now. So what have we got? We've got a 20mm radius for this, I believe. So let's put that on. It may pull and stretch my sketch out of shape, but no, it seems okay. And what are the fillets? I'm not sure the fillets are actually listed. So let's kind of estimate what these fillets are likely to be. I suspect they're equal in size to this dimension, so let's see if that works. Yeah, that seems to work. And I'm only going to put that 20mm on one of these curves, because then what I'm going to do is I'm going to click on that curve, hold down Control, click on that curve, and tell the system that I want to make them equal in size. So I only have to worry about modifying one dimension if I want to come back in and change these. So how are these positioned horizontally? I believe they're 50mm in from this edge to that center point, like that. So 50mm in. Now that doesn't look right. That's because I've put the radius twice as big as it should be, because on the drawing it's listed as a diameter. So clearly that radius should be 10, and so should that one as well. 10. Yeah, that looks more like the drawing. So that's my kind of rough shape that I want to add onto this box. That's the shape of the little lug or the little boss that kind of protrudes out. Now obviously I have some more work to do because it has a hole cut through the center, but I'm going to have to do that as a separate feature. So what I can do is I could use the mirror command within this sketch and just drag a selection rectangle over everything that I've just sketched there. All shows up in that box. Go down to this mirror about box and activate it by clicking, and then mirror about that plane there, and then just accept that. So I get a mirrored copy over here. And then what I'm going to do with these two closed boundaries is I'm going to go into features, tell the system I want to use these closed boundaries to create a extruded boss. It's going in the wrong direction currently, so I'm going to flip the direction there. 30mm happens to be the correct depth or the correct extrude value, but it's probably safer to switch that from being a blind value to up to surface, and then we can just click on the bottom surface of the box itself. And in that way, if the height of the box changes in the future, these bosses will follow that change. I won't have to come in and edit another value. These bosses will just extrude however deep the box is. So that seems a bit more sensible. So that was the first method on the PDF. That was where we sketched the shape in its entirety that we required adding on to the side face of the box. We did use a slight labour saving tool there because we used the mirror command. once we'd sketched it over here, we used the mirror command, so we didn't have to sketch it a second time. But it was a little bit long-winded, kind of setting up those arcs and putting the tangencies in there. So let's look at a slightly different way of achieving exactly the same thing. So I'm going to begin the same. So I'm going to sketch on this top face. But this time, all I'm going to do is I'm going to get my circular sketch tool. I'm going to sketch a circle that has its center point attached to the side of the box there. And then I'm going to set the diameter of that circle to whatever I need it to be. So if you remember, the diameter should be 20. The radius obviously is 10. And then get my smart dimension and just say from there to the center of the circle should be 50. And then I'm just going to use the mirror command again, but I want to select the entirety of that circle, mirror about that plane. Now this may or may not work. The reason I'm calling your attention to the fact that it may not work is that the edge of that circle is coincident with that flat face on the inside of the box, and sometimes the system doesn't like that. But we'll progress, and we can always come back and fix that if need be. We can put a straight line in there and use the trim command. But let's see. Okay, extruded boss base. And this setting that I set previously up to surface is still set in here, so it's just waiting for me to click on a surface. So I'm going to click on, I picked the front plane by accident there. It's an easy thing to do. Yeah, so I've picked that bottom surface of the box, accept that feature. Yeah, everything seems okay. Those circles aren't protruding through onto this inside face of the box, so that's fine. That's not quite finished, because what I would do now is I would use the fillet command. So there's the fillet command, but it's far easier and quicker, rather than going up to the top of the screen and opening that command up, to just click on an edge that you want to apply a fillet to, and the fillet command pops up there. So let's apply our fillets. What were these? They were 10 millimeters, and then I can just click on any edges that I want to apply that 10 millimeter fillet to. And then my system seems to have jumped into another menu there. So yeah, two alternative methods of achieving broadly the same thing, or exactly the same thing there. If I had to give advice, I would say broadly I prefer the second method there. Any fillet features, all things being equal, it tends to be more wise to apply fillet features using the fillet tool. That's not always the case, but more often than not, it's advisable to apply fillet features, or apply fillets to a part using the fillet tool rather than any sketch tools. So try and strip out the fillets when you're creating your sketches, and then add them in after you've created a feature from that sketch using the fillet tool. That's kind of the broad advice. As I say, it doesn't always hold true, but more often than not. So let's put these hole features in. We could quite easily sketch on this top face and sketch 4 circles where we need them here, and use an extrude cut to cut that material away. Or we could use the hole wizard tool. Given that these are plain holes, they're just kind of simple drilled holes possibly. There's not a huge amount of advantage to using the hole wizard tool. So let's just do a simple extruded cut. So I'm going to get my circle tool. I'm going to hover over that edge until the center point appears, because I want to lock this circle onto the center point that's already there. I'm just glancing over to see what diameter these should be. 10 mil, and then if I press escape, yeah, that circle's locked in position and it has its size defined as well. And then what I could do is just use the mirror command again, mirror that about that plane there, and then use the mirror command again, mirror both of these about that plane there. and then go to Feature, Extruded Cut. And I think this time, rather than a blind value or up to surface, I'm just going to say through all, and it will cut through the whole of the box. So that's broadly one way that you could use to model up the part that's shown on that PDF. Often there are multiple methods or multiple routes to arrive at the same 3D geometry for your part, and which one you choose will always have pros and cons in terms of making your parts easier to edit in the future or harder to edit, or speeding up your workflow or slowing down your workflow. But yeah, two methods there that you could possibly use to create a part such as that.